How goes YouTube? Gundam fans and Gundam builders, Connor here, and I am back with, finally, an upgrade of sorts. I finally have a bipod. I finally have a camera which I can use that is actually pretty good instead of a stupid camera phone, but, anyway, why I'm here today is because I'm finally giving you guys the long-awaited battle damage tutorial. So, Robert Medeiros, if you are still subscribed to my channel, you're welcome. Here we go. Now, I apologize that it's been a long time since I posted anything, ever since my my pistol. But you know, this is Gundam related, so if you came here expecting a gun review, I'll do a shooting test in my Kimber Custom 2 with everything. And I found a leg holster for that, but I'll explain that in a future video whenever we're out on the range. And I'll break out the camera and just let you guys watch that video of us shooting and testing how the compensator works. But to get to the point, we are just here talking about a battle damage tutorial on Gundam's Gunpla, tomato, whatever. But you may notice, if we're doing a battle damage tutorial, then where the heck is the model? It's right here. This is the 1:100 mass... not 1:100. This is the, I believe it is 1/60th scale. It is the real grade Ale Strike Gundam. As soon as my camera will focus. Maybe not. But the reason why I'm using this particular Gundam as my kit is because you may notice that it is pretty broken right there. And so I just decided to add that to a battle damage video. But let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial. So, this is part one of I don't know how many. I'm going to assume that's going to be quite a lot. But today, this is just a quick video of the tools that you'll need and everything else that you'll need to do a full battle damage tutorial. Let me move my tripod just a little bit. There we go. So, got them out of the way. The tools that you are going to need. Well, first off, you're going to need a plan in order to do a battle damage. You can't just, you know, you can't really, how should I put it? You can't really just come up with battle damage. You got to have a solid plan, which is why you should use a Sharpie marker. And you could, if you wanted to, you can even go to the back of it, like when it shows you the fully done model, like so. You can actually draw on your instructions on what you want to do. So for the shield, I already put marks on it and everything, but let me zoom in on the shield part for you guys. So for the shield, if my camera will focus. Okay, that's pretty much as good as it's gonna get. But for the shield, what I decided was I'm going to put a slash mark on the shield right there, and put a bullet hole right there, and put a bullet hole right there, and there, and there, and an explosion right around here, and we're going to take off part of the shield right there. So, a little close-up. That is a general idea of what I'm going to be doing with the shield, but the Gundam itself, I will show you that later. I mean, I'm not going to show you guys how to plan it. I mean, it's your own battle damage. I'm just giving a tutorial of the ways that I know how to do it. And, yeah. So, anyway. So, that aside, here's the shield, what I plan to do with it. Here is the slash mark from the beam saber, whatever. There are the bullet holes right there. And that I'm going to be cutting off right there. So now, the tools that you'll need in order to do a battle damage, I will show you. First up, you're going to need a set of clippers. Doesn't matter, just clippers. Second, you are going to need a hobby knife, which I will show you why you need the hobby knife for detailing and everything like that. Third, you are going to need a pin vise. Pin vices are very good for creating bolt hole effects, and combine the two together. Once you create the bullet hole with the pin vise, you actually kind of dig into the bullet hole with your hobby knife, making it distress, like stress marks around the bullet hole, just to give it a little more effect. Let's see. Next, you are going to need a Dremel tool. Dremel tools are very helpful with grinding stones to rough up the surface just a little bit, cause a little bit distress, and they're somewhat okay for paint chips. For paint chipping, if you want to just rough it up and just kind of make it paint chips, I use the sander part. But for explosions, if I can find it, hold on one second. Well, I don't have it with me, so for explosions, you're gonna need to use one of these. It's I think it's a hole creator on a Dremel tool, but it's got a ball on it and it's smaller. This is just an example. I don't have the one that I use with me right now. It's probably back over on my desk, but just for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna cut it short. Okay, so we got that and that. Next, this is what I use. Well, here, the Sharpie pen's pretty much a tool. I use a soldering iron. This is the electric soldering pencil that I use. This is actually very helpful for creating a melted steel kind of look, and also kind of melting through to create a scratch mark from a beam saber, a slash from a beam saber. So I pretty much use the soldering iron most of the time. I will show you guys how to do that. There are other ways to actually do scratch marks from beam sabers and swords and whatnot, and that is to use a little saw on your Dremel tool. But I kind of like the soldering iron because it makes it look like it's melted, because beam sabers are hot. So, okay, the next tools. You will need a brush, some sort of brush. I like to use a kind of flat brush for for weathering, and I use like a somewhat fine brush for well, that's the bad finger. My bad. You use it's a pretty fine point brush. I use this for highlighting and highlighting bullet holes mostly. So put those there. And this is actually pretty cool. If you guys got an electric shaver, or girls, I'm not judging, your electric shaver will come with this brush, and I learned this technique from Frau 55. He uses Sharpie marker to create the scratches, but I use actual paint because paint will look better and it's not going to come off like Sharpie marker. But what you do is you just dip it a little bit and then you wipe it away. I'll show you that technique, but if you guys have a brush like this, then you're in luck. Use that because, you know, I used to have an electric shaver, but it broke and I got no use for that brush other than for modeling. Next, you'll need paints. For silver, I use this Testors Chrome Silver, and I just use this this black. They're both enamels. It doesn't really matter what kind of paint you use, but for colors, this is probably what you want to go with. Chrome Silver and black. For black is for weathering, and silver is for highlighting. So the paints and everything that you will need in order to create a battle damage Gundam. Pretty sweet so far. Oh, and also, why not? I'll make the effort. Hold on, you guys. Let's see. You guys will need... I'm probably going to cut that part out, but depending on the size of your model, some wires. Like if you give the impression of a cut-off arm or a leg or a foot, you want wires to be shown, then depending on how big your model is, you're going to need different gauges. If you want, I think this is like 20 gauge wire, copper wire. I'm not quite sure. It's not labeled, so... But I got all these different colors of wire that I use, and I use for battle damage, like wires that are shown. I might throw in a tutorial on how to use your wires, or how to make the wires look real. And if you are going to be doing the wiring effect, like there are wires sticking out of a blown off limb, then the last thing you will need is Superglue. Yes, Superglue saves your life with holding onto the wires. Don't use modeler's glue. It doesn't really hold on that well. But yeah, so these are pretty much all the tools that you are going to need in order to do a battle damage video. Also, I do have a painting palette, and it's got some enamel thinner, because both of my paints are enamel. It's got enamel thinner in there, so I can use that for brushing, for cleaning the stuff. And we'll continue with part 2 on actually destroying the kit. Thank you guys for watching. Stick around.